help me discover what is reality? I don't quite know the answer. Here in the United States, if someone is Jewish, and what I mean by that, yes, they actually practice the religion of Judaism, but specifically their genetic background is traced back to the original Holy Land, the whole migration, the whole system. I'm not talking about some guy from Ireland who converted to Judaism to marry. No. I mean, you can look at this person and they have certain features. You can look at them and you can tell that that person is Jewish, because here in the United States, you definitely can do that. You can have a person who's of Anglo-Saxon descent, and then you can have someone who pretty much every generation, as far as they know, they've been Jewish by the religion, and therefore you can look at their traits and it's very predictable and obvious. That's how it is here in the United States. That is my version of reality. You can look at a person and pretty much guess most of the time if they're Jewish or not, and you can be right if you know what traits to look for physically. With that being said, how do Americans perceive Jewish Americans? Assuming that both parents were Jewish and now the child is Jewish, they grew up to be an adult, is that person white? Or are they considered Middle Eastern? The reason this is a tricky question, because here in America, I've noticed in general, we perceive Jewish people, even though we know they're of Middle Eastern descent, we perceive them as white people. But Middle Eastern people, we don't. We perceive them as Middle Eastern. They're not white. So if you're Jewish, you're white. If you're Middle Eastern, you're Middle Eastern. And it's interesting because we could think of like Dr. Oz. We'd consider him white, even though he's Turkish and Muslim, he's still perceived as white. So we can still get confused. And obviously this whole perception issue is a broken system. It's very inconsistent, and that's why I'm making a video, so we can discuss it more openly. But I think there's a lot of confusion here in America. A Jewish American, are they Middle Eastern or white? I think America swings to the side of they're definitely white. But a person could look very similar to that Jewish person. Physically, they could look very similar. But the moment we find out they're Muslim and that they're not Jewish, they're definitely not white. I think that's what happens. And it's not even about skin color. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with us perceiving that person by their religion and by their last name. If someone's last name is, let me think of a good Jewish name. Can I just say, how about Stein? That's an easy one to go with. Your last name is Stein or Greenberg, right? Versus someone whose last name is Ali. Automatically we make a distinction between the two. And I'm not saying that it's negative or better than worse or anything like that. I'm saying that we have been, maybe without realizing, we've been brainwashed to distinguish. And I think it goes back to, and I think there's a lot of politics involved in this, in the American perception of politics, where we, and I'm not saying that I agree with this, but I'm saying what happens is we tend to definitely, as Americans, bring in the Jewish people. And you're one of us. You're helping our country out in so many ways. We respect you. You're part of us. But with Middle Eastern people, it's different, and there's a lot of distrust and confusion, and there's this whole concept of you really have to prove to us more. And I think part of that is the similar religion aspect, knowing that when you look at the Christian Bible, 2/3 of the content is what we perceive as the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament. 2/3 of the Christian Bible is the Old Testament. Only 1/3 of the Christian Bible is the New Testament. So there's quite an overlap between what Jewish people and Christian people are familiar with. We can't say that with Muslim people. There are some vague overlaps, but for the most part, no. It's very easy for, I'm going to go ahead and say it, for white Anglo-Saxon Protestants to have a quicker identification, if nothing else culturally, with Jewish people and not with Middle Eastern people, specifically Muslim people who are Middle Eastern. So this channel is designed so that we can have open, honest conversations about this, messy conversations, politically incorrect conversations, in which I may put myself in a position where it seems that I am what? That I am ignorant, that I'm wrong, maybe even immoral for even having this conversation. But ultimately, I'm engaging. You've made it through a 6-minute video where I'm not saying that I've got the answers. I'm saying I would like the answers. I need a collective perspective, a worldwide vision that I cannot have as an American here in the United States. So help me sort this out. I don't think there's going to be a right answer. I don't think there can be. But I just want to get the general feedback so that we can understand as a whole what our perspective of reality is. Is there truth? I don't know that there's truth. Is there fact? Maybe we can come closer to fact. Let's find out in the comments that you leave here.